father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fiend. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you. I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fiend. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression's setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist, and it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it, I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you do to prove their strength in being you. Learn so much in chasing dreams that I never would in school. Depends on where your passion lie, just know passion never lie. Life presents distractions, but your actions have to fortify the things that you believe in. Have to scream it like a battle cry and leave the ones who didn't looking stupid while they're asking why. Couldn't lie, I really do this for the ones I love, those who treat the music as a vice and lyrics like a drug, those who need advice on how to lift their spirit high enough to break out of the box they make up lives they know aren't good enough. Just because it's how it is don't mean it's how it has to be. This is what the uninspired testifiers fail to see. Jealousy results from being that which others fail to be, and if it means you're not with me, that honestly sounds fair to me.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fiend. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Do this for my mother, she'll be working for the summer. Do this for my father, cause these days I often wonder what my life would have been like if I was not adopted. To grow up in a home where I was treated like a problem. I don't know, it's just a guess. Your guess probably good as mine. Lucky that I grew up in a home that wanted me to shine. Lucky that I grew up around some mountains we were taught to climb. Without that inspiration, I don't think that this would be my life. Do this for my friends who've scattered all across the country now. I'm out in Sweden walking back through life so I can write it down. Make a living off the sound, so crazy to say out loud. I'm the biggest thing since Travis Rice to come up out the town. Sorry, gotta stunt a little. Used to have my dreams belittled, but it's all a part of it. I know people's minds are fickle, lines between reality and dreams I blur like faded nights. Come up been so good for me, I wish that I could make it twice.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fiend. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Thank you guys for being here tonight. Just a reminder, I do this from my father. Shout out to Abstract. That's the artist that recorded that song. He did reach out to me on TikTok and just gave me a shout out and said, thanks for using my song every day. I appreciate him, man. I appreciate him and a song that I can relate to and I think about often. I do this for somebody. You do this for someone. I want to start off today's show by telling you guys, I do high school film reviews. And there was a young man, I did a film review. If you aren't aware, I do high school film reviews on TikTok where high school kids have huddle films. They have highlight films online. And either the child himself, the player, maybe a coach, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a family friend, someone who knows of somebody, they donate to the channel. And if you donate the most money every night, 2 people, they get a video made on them, okay? So I do this every single day. I do 2 videos a day. And every now and then, I'll come across a kid and it'll be like, this kid's amazing. Why did no one offer him? Things of that nature. And I apologize if I'm looking around. I want to see how long ago I did this video. And if I'm doing the math, 1, 2, 4 days ago I did this video, because I typically do 2 a day. So 4 days ago I did a video on a young man, and I said he was great. He was a JUCO linebacker. He's got 1 more year of JUCO left, and he actually sent in the donation himself, and he eventually got to the top of the list. And when he got to the top, you know, he didn't brag about anything. Very humble. Just said, "Hey man, give a look at my tape. Here's who I am." Gave me his stats. A 6'2", 215 linebacker. Name is Tyreek Curley, and Tyreek Curley is very good as a linebacker. He's a JUCO linebacker, and I thought, man, that's a Division I linebacker. And if you go watch my page and watch my TikTok, you will see videos on Tyreek Curley, and you'll see all the comments, all positive in nature. And today I come to you guys to tell you that young man reached back out to me, and he said something really important to me. He said, "You know, Rico, you don't know how much you touch us, how much you impact our lives with positivity. Because yes, I do troll NFL accounts and players in the NFL. I make some of the most outrageous clickbait stuff you've ever seen. But when it comes to college football, I try to give an accurate analysis. And when it comes to high school football, I am doing my best to try to get those young men offers. And we've had some really huge success stories. We've had guys getting offers after we posted the video. People, you know, I had a dad write me back, and he said, "Rico, my son just got his first offer 2 days after you posted that video, and they said they saw the video." He's like, "I'm in tears." And I couldn't believe it, man. Like, it hurts me, or it impacts me a lot. You never get used to it. You never get used to the influence you can have on these young men's lives and their success stories and how they're going. There's some young men right now in the transfer portal, and they've been asking for my help and my assistance in finding a new school, and it never gets tired. Like, I never get tired of it when it actually pays off and pans out. And I bring up Tyreek Curley I bring up this young man, if you will, because he called me today, or he wrote me today, and he said, "Mr. Rico, I just want you to know that, you know, in that moment, I'm watching the video, I'm hearing you say positive things about me, and my father and I don't really talk. And my father and I don't have a real close bond, and we haven't talked in a long time, but I sent him the video, and he called me back so happy, and we had a really good conversation, and we had a really good memory." And he said, "You know, that really impacted me so much. Because you brought happiness to my life with just that video." And to bring the story full circle, unfortunately for that young man, his father passed away this morning. So the final memory they have together is happily talking about a video I created and posted on TikTok. And for me, that was touching for that young man to reach out and let me know. Shout out to Tyreek Curley, for seriously. But it's unfortunate what we go through in life, and I just want you guys to know, you never know who's watching the video. And so shout out to Tyreek, man, stay strong. You never know how you're going to impact people. On the flip side, there was a high school film review I did last night. It currently has over 250,000 views in less than 24 hours. Do not lie about your high school tape. Do not lie about your offers. I found a young man lying about his offers. This young kid in Southern California claims to have over 10 offers, 20 offers. He said he's entering the transfer portal. He says he's a starting quarterback. I went and looked him up. The kid's 5'9", 140 pounds. He goes around school telling everybody he's D1. He even created fake coaching profiles. And I want you guys to know, I went and looked at his Twitter, and it didn't make sense because I checked those coaches. He made up a coach's name at Hawaii. That coach does not exist at Hawaii. He made up a fake coaching profile from a coach at Indiana. I believe it's Indiana. It was one coach who actually liked his video. I was like, who's this coach that liked this video? It's a fake coaching profile on Twitter that, like, when I went and clicked on the coach's profile, it only likes one thing. It's only done one thing. That coach's profile, FBS level coach supposedly, has only liked his video and done nothing else in its life. Like nothing. What are we doing? This kid is lying out of his mind that he's somebody. That he's got 10 offers, waiting on another one. He's got offers from everybody, offers and quote-unquote interest. Turns out he played on an 0-10 high school team. He's a junior. Shout out to the city section in Southern California. and he's very substandard. And I think even more substandard is his decision-making and maturity. Habitual lying. People say, leave him alone, Rico, that's just a kid, let a kid live. No. You carry yourself like this as a child, what do you think he's going to do as an adult? Do you think he's just magically going to be a model citizen in society? No way. These are the people that grow up and become con artists and habitual liars, and they trick you and try to swindle you out of anything. They're out here trying to hustle you for anything. You got to call them out early and hold them accountable. So yes, I made the young man look silly. His high school coach did reach out to me. At least somebody claiming to be his high school coach reached out to me. He said, hey, I'm his new head coach. I don't appreciate the verbiage you used when describing this young man, but you are invited to one of our football games next year. If you'd like to come see him, we'll get you sideline passes and you can come see him on the field. First and foremost, it's a pretty hood school. I don't think I'm going to find myself in the hood and expose myself to any type of issue where I might have to unalive someone. That's just not my idea of fun. Real talk. So if you try to tell me, hey, Rico, come to our school, come visit, bruh, I'm a damn senior leader in the world's strongest army for the last 20 years. You ain't making it, bro. Not with me. I'm a hand-to-hand combat instructor for the last 20 years. I'm an MMA monster. Don't try to, what did some guy say to me? He's going to press me when he sees me. He's going to put pressure on me when he sees me. Bro, that might be some real amazing talk among the children, but it's not going to work out for you. Not the way you envision. Go to YouTube. Scroll back, bro. Scroll back and find the videos. And let me tell you, I'm about 40 pounds heavier than you see on those videos. I'm strong as hell. I'm a problem. Oh, you know. It ain't going to take nothing but some fingers. All right, bro. I ain't your high school girlfriend. I ain't impressed with your fingers. I'm telling you that right now. It ain't going to work out for you the way you envision. Unless you're walking around, I was telling Kim this the other night, unless you're walking around with the intent of becoming the next big thing, the next big murderer, I don't have any fear of anyone. You better be training with professional fighters. We were walking in the woods 2 nights ago. Kim and I were walking in the woods 2 nights ago. And I decided to take her on a hike on this secluded trail we'd never been on. I've been on it once about 5 years ago. So I took her on this hike in a secluded trail. Sun went down immediately. We were in pitch black, bro. Thank God we had flashlights. We had our cell phones that had flashlights. And you know what? As soon as it got incredibly dark, there was not a moon out. It was so dark, and we were in the woods. It was on and popping. I said, you know what? We're going to still do this trail. We eventually got lost on the trail. We were out there for an hour longer than anticipated. We walked the wrong way, 2 miles. Like, this shit was real. But I got a trooper with me. I had my girl with me. I had my dog with me. And my dog is a gangster, man. I got a pit bull. Her name is Ash. Ash heard some noises, some wildlife out there, and Ash did the most amazing thing. She just took off chasing that damn thing in the dark. I don't know what she was chasing, but Ash was gone like a flash. And Kim's getting nervous. I don't get nervous, bro. Ain't nothing out there gonna make me nervous. I've slept 365 nights in a row in a foreign country with people trying to kill me. Like, I'm not worried about you dudes here in America. I'm not worried about you dudes sleeping under your parents' roof. All you kids typing at me, drinking Capri Suns, you don't move me, bruh. I'm letting you know. This is grown man talk. All this shit about, hey, you're a grown man. Wait till you meet me. Wait till you meet me and you come up to my shoulder. Wait till you meet me and you feel, and right here. I palm a basketball, bro. Don't step to me, man. I hate people trying to test my gangster. Thanks for being here tonight. My name is RicoKnows. All I do is talk transfer portal. All I do is predict sports. If you didn't know, March Madness is coming up, and we've been doing pretty good. Just giving predictions on basketball tournaments. If you want to know what my predictions are, I'm giving them away for free on Patreon and YouTube. Just become a member. Go to Patreon. It's free. Boom. Click it. Free. It's an app. And then there's a bunch of videos to watch if you're a free member. If you become a paid member, you get the real goods. I put out a parlay today. We hit on it. Oh, by the way, UFC, we're untouchable. Who's messing with me in UFC? I might be the greatest in the entire world at UFC. I'm not joking. I might be the greatest predictor of UFC fights on the entire planet Earth. I know. Rico, what are you talking about? Well, let's see. We're right here. This is our chart for next week, but you can see it here. This was the last fight night here. This was our chart for the last fight night. You see how green it is? Do you see that? Do you know what the purples are? Purples are when I take the underdog and say the underdog is going to win. We got it right 3 out of 4 times. Taking an underdog. This is not taking an underdog to cover the spread. This is fighting. You actually have to pick the money line on an underdog. You can't just say, oh, they're going to cover the spread. I'm taking the money line. All the whites you see, that's all locks. That's me telling you I know the winner. I don't care what anybody says in this world. I know the winner. I've locked all those white texts. We hit every single parlay you see. We hit every single fight you see. And guess what, guys? The week before, we went 11-0 on all the fights. We didn't miss a single fight. We did miss parlays because we were messing around doing other shit. But we didn't miss a single fight. You can parlay these. MVPs are turning $10 into $1,100. $15 into $1,600. Like, it's remarkable what I see on the Discord server. I'm not joking. So figure out how to get on the Patreon. Figure out how to get to the Discord server. And you'll see some of this stuff. I'm going to pull it into the screen here. You go to our wins. Shout out to the MVPs. And it's just clear as day, bro. This guy turned $60 into $1,600. That's really happening on our Discord server. By the way, there's a fight I told him about. There's a hockey match he learned about. Another fight. What are we parlaying? This man turned, I don't know, $5 into $139. This is not an infomercial. This is really happening. 15 into $1,372. 10 into $900. Shout out to the MVPs. Go to Patreon. Become an MVP. This is a channel with all their winnings. They do have a channel with their losses. They call it Bad Beats. It happens every now and then. This guy LB right here is a bad beat waiting to happen. LB will do parlays all day, and LB will miss every time. Shout out to LB. Been an MVP for a while. Hasn't really won much. He loses on his own, bro. LB will fade me. This is him fading me right here. That's why he lost. He took Bash Rat. We never take Bash Rat. Anyways. Shout out to me, UFC. If you didn't know, Saturday, we have it going. I already have the chart ready to go, locked and loaded. You see it down here. I am picking at 79% on my locks. What? What did Rico just say? 79%. There's no way. Yes, 79%. Look at my leans. 77.4%. My value bets. Rico, what's a value bet? That's when I pick the underdog. We're just above 52%. We're never losing, bro. We're just above 50. This is impossible. For me to pick an underdog to win, and I get it right more than half the time. That's just insane. But I'm doing it. Rico, that's not sustainable. Well, then what do you call it, bro? What do you call it? We're out here doing the damn thing. But enough of that. Thanks for being here. We're going to talk transfer portal today. We're talking quarterbacks, if you didn't know. And if you want to watch all the other episodes, it's not hard to do. You go to YouTube and you click the live tab. You know, when you click on my channel, you can click on videos or you can click on the live tab. The live tab shows you all the podcasts. It shows you all the live streams. So remember that. When you're looking at my channel, do not click videos, click live. You will see all the old episodes. So we're on episode 4 of the quarterbacks. We're going to go down. We're going to talk about quarterbacks in the transfer portal. We're going to go down and talk about them. First, we're going to go over who's committed. Then there's going to be enrolled. Now, when you talk about committed, sometimes these players can be committed and not enrolled, meaning they're sitting out this semester or 24/7 or on 3 or Rivals hasn't confirmed that this young man's at the school. It doesn't mean they're not going there. It pretty much means they're going there. They're verbally committed. You don't sign anything when you're a transfer and you're transferring in the transfer portal. When you commit, you don't sign anything. It's not a letter of intent. Like UCLA is on the quarter system. So Dante Moore could be going to Oregon, but he could be finishing this quarter. I don't know. But he's going to go to Oregon. So that's just how it goes. So this is 99.9%. You're going to see names on here that you know are going to those schools, okay? So don't get carried away. It's just semantics. Eventually, they move these guys committed to the status of enrolled. They do. Every single day, they move somebody over. I keep checking. And I keep updating my charts because that's just what I do. So I'm going to tell you if I've talked about these guys in previous episodes, and then we're going to keep it moving until we get to the new guys. Afterwards, I will get to the chat. Bear with me. I will get to the chat, okay? I owe you that. I will always get to the chat. I try to do 10 athletes move to the chat. 10 athletes move to the chat. So let's go get our 10 now. Hang in there. If you want to start getting your questions in as early as possible, get them in on the chat on YouTube. Get them in and just sit tight. Do not spam the questions. Do not spam the comments. Just do it once. I will eventually get to it. It might take me 20, 30 minutes, but I'll get to it. All right, shout out to TikTok. I don't see your comments when you guys are writing them. You got to go to YouTube, find the channel, RicoKnows. You can't miss it. Go to YouTube, put your question in. I got you. So let's start talking about quarterbacks. If you look at the chart here, I actually have my chart in front of me. And the reason I have my chart in front of me is I actually have to ensure I already did or didn't talk about this person. So as you see all these guys right here, if you want to learn about these players, go back to an older episode. These are all episode 2. I think Van Dyke's episode 1. Maeva's 3, Jefferson's 3. I'm checking my chart in front of me. Levitt's 2. All these guys are episode 3. And we're going to keep going until we get to Haj. And the only reason why Haj is finally coming up, Haj Malik Williams, going from Campbell to UNLV. Excuse me for a second. The only reason he's finally coming up is because for a long time, he was 0 stars. So they finally gave him his 3 stars and moved him up. This is a multi-year starter at Campbell. Campbell's always been underwhelming. Campbell, for me, started to have good recruiting classes and good transfer portal classes, and it's a lot of it had to do with Coach Minter, and then now he's gone. They got a whole new coaching staff. I reached out to the new coaching staff at Campbell on Twitter, and I'm talking every single coach, every offense, defensive coordinator, head coach, everybody, and they never hit me back. These guys pretend like I don't exist, and that's okay, but I want to help them out. They just focused, and they don't know me, and that's okay. They're new. Congratulations. But Campbell never really achieved much, and I want to tell you Williams did all right. I went and turned on the tip. I've watched Campbell play. They were on TV. I'm in Georgia. They come on TV a fair amount. If you're looking for a Campbell game, you can find it. It's not bad. This is a young man that played at Hapeville Charter here in Georgia. If you see anybody, they'll be like Hapville. No, it's Hapeville. Good kid. 41 games at Campbell. So we've seen a ton. It's his final year of eligibility. This guy, 8,236 yards passing, 50-something touchdowns, and yes, he has 1,600 yards rushing. I don't think he starts, though. Congratulations, you picked UNLV. I don't think you start. I don't think it's a good transfer. But he went to UNLV first. He committed to UNLV first. UNLV got him, convinced him, hey, you're going to be our starter. We just lost Jaden Maeva to USC. You're going to be our starter. And then a couple weeks later, they went and got Matthew Sluka. So what are we supposed to do with this? You get Matthew Sluka, and I believe Matthew Sluka, from my perspective and assessment, Holy Cross quarterback Matthew Sluka is the mother flipping truth. I think he starts. And if I'm wrong, my goodness, I will own it. I'll make an I was wrong video. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to make an I was right video when I tell you guys Haj Malik Williams will probably be in the transfer portal again. I don't think he starts at all. I don't think he ever sees the field. I'm not joking. I don't think he's better than Doug Brumfield. I don't know if Brumfield's still at UNLV, but he was the previous starter. He's very injury prone. Shout out to Inglewood. But I'm telling you, man, Matthew Sluka did not transfer to UNLV. He's in his final year as well. Matthew Sluka is the real dual threat quarterback. That's a back-to-back 1,200-yard rusher. You want to know why Holy Cross was able to beat – who did they beat? Virginia, or did they take them to the wire and lose? They beat Virginia. Or they covered the spread. Holy Cross is real. And Matthew Sluka was him. He was the leader of that thing. I mean, it's crazy. To think that you're both going to UNLV is kind of silly. So I don't think it's a good transfer. Shout out to E.J. Warner. They just upgraded his grade. They moved him up. You know, I have a series coming out soon. I'm working on it. I have a series coming out of people that were not regular starters last year, and they might be household names this upcoming season. So people coming off the bench, they're in the 2 deep, but not household starters, and they're going to be household names next season. And the reason I bring that up is Braylon Braxton going to Marshall. If he can beat out Mitch Griffiths, one of these guys is going to be the starter. Mitch was a starter at Wake Forest last year, but Braylon Braxton did not start at Tulsa. He was supposed to. It didn't work out. I love Braylon Braxton's tape. I just wish he played better. I just think that Braylon Braxton being ranked ahead of E.J. Warner is absurd. E.J. Warner actually throws 300-400 yards a game. And this is a young man that I have hope for. This is a known commodity with real production, and this is just whatever. So shout out to E.J. Warner for getting his rating increase. If you didn't know, yes, this is Kurt Warner's son. Nothing like Kurt Warner. Throws nothing like Kurt Warner, but more power to him. Just a stat monster. Next guy I'm going to talk about is Ethan Kaliakmanis, coming out of Minnesota, going to Rutgers. Now, last offseason, I told all the Minnesota fans I didn't think very highly of Ethan Kaliakmanis. This might have been right after the bowl game, and they were all impressed with him in the bowl game. And I just said, no, he's not any good. I think Minnesota's going to be bad in 2023. And I don't believe in Ethan Kaliakmanis. A lot of it had to do with the fact that Minnesota was losing their offensive coordinator, Kirk Soraka. They were losing their running backs coach, Kenny Burns, going to be the head coach at Kent State. So I felt like they were losing a ton of their continuity, a ton of their, glue. And Ethan becoming the starter, I was not impressed with his tape. I didn't think it was going to be any good, and I never went back and made an I Am Right video about it, and I should have, because I was 100% on. Like, this kid was not good. He is 6'4", 210, but I just don't believe in what he's doing. Now, is he better than Gavin Wimsatt? That's the question. If you guys don't know, Gavin Wimsatt's the starting quarterback at Rutgers last 2 years now. Gavin Wimsatt, former 4-star kid coming out of high school. The recruiting websites got it wrong. The recruiting websites gave this kid 4 stars. He cannot throw the football. He is incredibly inaccurate. It's terrible. So he's so bad that Rutgers has a kid who's been starting at quarterback for 2 years. And instead of investing in him and saying, you'll be our quarterback for the 3rd year, they bring in competition and bring in Ethan Kaliakmanis. And Kirk Soraka, the offensive coordinator from Minnesota, is now the offensive coordinator for Greg Schiano in Rutgers. So you're bringing your own Louis luggage with you. You're bringing your quarterback. And Dino's coming too. That's Ethan's brother. He's a wide receiver. They're all going to Rutgers. Now, Rutgers has a great defense. I know. Rico, you're saying Rutgers has a great defense? Go watch the tape. Rutgers' defense is great. They're coached great. They overachieve. They get the most out of it, most juice for their squeeze, all that shit. I'm telling you, man, Rutgers is tough. But it's really hard to win games when your offense can't throw a pass and can't move the chains. And if you ask me, Kaliakmanis, 53% completion percentage last year. He still can't complete passes. Might be a little better than Gavin Wimsatt. 14 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, I believe. I'm with Ethan. I hope he wins the job. I kept begging Rutgers to get a quarterback in the transfer portal last year, and they didn't. They stuck with Gavin Wimsatt, and this year they finally got one. But, man, they could have got somebody better, I think. I thought they could have got Matthew Sluka. But shout out to Ethan Kaliakmanis. Here he is. He finally got the job. I hope he's not the backup quarterback. Speaking of backup quarterbacks, what up, Drew Pine? So Drew Pine was actually off the transfer portal list. I actually took him out of my database. Everybody told me he was transferring back to Notre Dame. Transferring back to Notre Dame, get his degree, not playing football, and then he was going to enter the portal after next year to save his eligibility. Let me say that again. Transferring, but strictly academic. Finish his degree. And I think that was on the glide path and the plan. And then out of nowhere, Missouri goes and signs him. Now, why did Missouri sign Drew Pine? Pretty simple. They lost Sam Horn for the year. He got Tommy John surgery. Sam Horn was Travis Hunter's quarterback in high school. Sam Horn is a very good player. I've seen him with my own eyes. I went and watched him in a game, and he wore 21 in high school. And Sam Horn, to me, is a good quarterback. He can play football. But he's probably more of a baseball player. They tell me he throws over 90-mile-an-hour fastball, whatever he throws, whatever he does. Shout out to him. So now you need a backup quarterback. They need experience in the room. Drew Pine's a good backup quarterback. I thought he was a recruiting miss, if you will. Remember, he went to Notre Dame back in 2020. He played in 2 games this year at Arizona State. And then he was just injured all over the place. You guys want a fun fact? You want a fun fact and a good stat? Arizona State has a running back, Cameron Skattebo. Follows the channel, talked to him before, made a video on him many times. Cameron Skattebo is a bowling ball of a running back. He's great. He went to Sacramento State. He's a Northern California kid. Rushed for like 2,600 yards in high school. Didn't get an offer or an FBS offer. Goes to Sacramento State. Balls out of control. Becomes an All-American. Rushes for 1,400 yards. Transfers to Arizona State. Did you know he is like the second leading passer in the country among non-quarterbacks? Yeah, that's right. Cameron Skattebo's thrown for over 100 yards passing. Halfback passes, whatever they're doing at Arizona State, part of their game plan was for Cameron Skattebo to throw passes. I think he was going to get more playing time than Drew Pine. But Drew Pine, coming out of high school, was an elite prospect. I think he had 6 touchdowns for every interception. A 6-to-1 ratio. That's really impressive. 6-to-1 in high school. But if you want to know his pro comp coming out of high school, his pro comp was Chase Daniels. How ironic. A backup quarterback out of Missouri, but obviously Chase Daniels was a starter in college. So Drew Pine, the next Chase Daniels, 6-footer. It's kind of fun to watch, kind of does his thing, but not where he needs to be. I thought he played well for Notre Dame. Just so we're clear, Drew Pine was the starting quarterback at Notre Dame back in 2022. He eventually became the starter, and I thought he played well. 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 6 interceptions. I thought he was good. So shout out to Drew Pine doing his thing, but it looks like he's a backup quarterback. And if you don't notice, the way 24/7 has these guys sorted, they put all the backup quarterbacks together. Because there's Casey Thompson, former starter at Texas, left Texas, transferred to, where did he transfer to? Nebraska. Went to Nebraska, was the starter at Nebraska, eventually was injured in the spring last year, so he lost the quarterback battle with Jeff Sims, which is kind of crazy. He lost the quarterback battle with Jeff Sims, and then he hit the transfer portal again, and this time he went to FAU. So he goes to FAU, injury, done for the year. When he was healthy at FAU, he was not good. 509 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, not good. But he's still a quality player. When he jumped in the portal and he went to Nebraska, I can remember, who's the coach? Brent Venables, Oklahoma's coach, was trying to get Casey Thompson to come to Oklahoma. Remember, Kendall Thompson, his brother, played at Oklahoma. So it's before he transferred to Utah. So they got family there. Their dad, I think his dad was an alumni. It's a legacy thing. Let's go to Oklahoma. Let's go. Well, now you're going to go, and you're going to back up Jackson Arnold, because Jackson Arnold is him. And I hope Casey Thompson's healthy. And this will be my last one before I go to the chat. Let me see, how many guys have I covered? I haven't covered 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we still got a ways to go. I'll get to you, chat. Put your shit in the chat. I will get to you. Your questions. Then we're talking about Deuce Hogan here. Deuce Hogan, at the top of the screen here, this is a guy recruiting, gave him, they anointed him. And even they still won't drop him down. They still have him ranked. Like Diego Pavia has actually rushed for 900 yards in a season, won 10 games. TJ Finley's balled out of control at Texas State this last year. These guys have been starters at the universities, and the recruiting websites still have the nerve to rank certain players this high because that's what they ranked them out of high school. Because that's what they think. They think this is real. This is not real. Deuce Hogan should not be ranked here. But who's Deuce Hogan, Rico? Well, if you don't know Deuce Hogan, coming out of Texas, he was in that show on Netflix. What was that show called? Quarterback One, Beyond the Lights. It was Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, and Deuce Hogan. Deuce Hogan was with Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson. Those two dudes are in the NFL. This guy hasn't started anything. This is a terrible miss in recruiting. Terrible miss. And coming out of high school, where did he go? He didn't go. He went to Iowa first. So he couldn't start at Iowa. So let me tell you a true story about Iowa. Iowa had 2 or 3 really bad quarterbacks, but I can remember 2 of them. Petrus, was it? Spencer Petrus and Padilla. So they both come down with the flu. This is a very true story. Petrus and Padilla come down with food poisoning. Alex Padilla, by the way. They come down with food poisoning, and Kirk Ferentz is interviewed, and Kirk Ferentz is asked, what are you going to do if Petrus and Padilla can't go? What if they both got food poisoning, they got diarrhea, they can't play in the game? What are you going to do? And Coach Ferentz said, well, with all due respect to Deuce, I'm just going to go back home. What? I'm just going to go back home and stay in Iowa City. We're not going to play the game. Holy shit. So Deuce's mother gets upset and says he's out of here. We're jumping in the transfer portal. A couple days later, kid's in the transfer portal, and he leaves. And he goes to Kentucky. Bro, why are you going to Kentucky? I'll never know. These young men, I can't play at Iowa. I'll play at Kentucky. What is wrong with you? You can't play at Iowa. You can't play at Kentucky. This is not it, bro. So he goes to Kentucky, can't beat out anybody. Kentucky doesn't like him. They go out and get Devin Leary in the transfer portal. They're like, we don't want this kid. So now he's finally being realistic about his talent. He's going to New Mexico State. And the theory is he's actually going to start at New Mexico State. I don't know. Yes, New Mexico State just lost 3 quarterbacks in the transfer portal. Obviously, Diego Pavia's gone, who's the stud. He would never start over Diego, I promise you. Blaze Barowitz just left. He went with Diego. They both went to Vandy. Okay, so the cupboard's kind of bare. Gavin Franks left. He went to Virginia. So who's left? Eli Stowers, the Texas A&M transfer, who moved to wide receiver and tight end. I guess Deuce is going to start. But give me a break, bro. Stop ranking this dude like this. He's not built like this. If Kirk Ferentz says you can't play at Iowa, how terrible are you? How terrible were his quarterbacks? And then look, I'll give you an example. We got to go through all this. They repeat the list twice. Don't worry about it. And then you go down here and you see Tyler Huff. This is just dumb. The way they have these guys ranked. Skylar Locklear is a backup quarterback at Austin Peay. Did not play this year. Yes, he's going to UTEP. Congratulations. He followed his coach to UTEP. Shout out to Scotty Walden, doing great things at UTEP. I'm excited to see UTEP this upcoming season. I think they're going to be vastly improved. But Skylar Locklear is not better than Tyler Huff. None of these guys are. Tyler Huff is him. Even Dylan is definitely doesn't belong here. This guy Dylan can't play football. I don't care if he's going from Southern. At Southern University, he was third string. Third string at Southern University, and he's magically going to UNLV. Didn't we already talk about 2 great quarterbacks going to UNLV? How the hell is this guy who threw 1 pass last year going to do anything at UNLV? It's dumb. And Tyler Huff is great. Mark my words. Don't give a shit. Don't care who else is transferring. Tyler Huff will be the starting quarterback at Jacksonville State next year. Shout out to Rich Rodriguez. He will be the starting quarterback at Jacksonville State. Tyler Huff is amazing. This is the Furman quarterback. You got to go watch the tape. So I go to his tape. Check this shit out. He played in Florida, high school. Losing seasons every single year. Best season in high school, I think his team, I had to go look at Max Preps. The best season I saw was 5-5. Team sucks. You see him throwing amazing passes, receivers dropping the ball. This dude was all by himself, Tyler Huff, doing the damn thing, okay? This is a good quarterback. So out of high school, with no winning seasons, he still gets an offer. He's 6'1", 216. So he goes to Presbyterian, the Blue Hose. He goes to Presbyterian. He was under 6 feet tall in high school. He grew when he got to college. He's now 6'1". He goes to Presbyterian, starts balling, never wins. Never wins anything. Then he transfers again, and this time he shows up to Furman, and Furman's a perennial power because of him. Furman's 18-2 against FCS opponents since he showed up. 19-4 if you include FBS opponents. This kid can win everything. Tyler Huff is great. He's a dual threat quarterback, rushed for over 600 yards this year. I think he went 691 the year before and then 591 this year. So like a 100-yard difference every year. But it don't matter, dude. Dude's real. And you know who they have? They have Logan Smothers. They have Jacksonville State has one of the worst quarterbacks in the FBS. Shout out to Logan Smothers, a Nebraska transfer. MVPs know him well. He is not good, and it's unreal. So shout out to Tyler Huff. I think he is great. Voted a team captain at Furman. He's an Army lieutenant in the Army Reserves. That dude's a straight adult. He's so good. I love it. And then he won an overtime game against, who did he beat in overtime? Chattanooga in the FCS playoffs. And then he lost to Montana in overtime. Double overtime. He's so good. Tyler Huff. Beast of a player. I'm so excited for him. Dylan Mayorta. Murata. Trash. Trash. So this is a kid from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Out of high school, goes to UAB, can't play at UAB, hits the portal, heads back home, goes to Southern University, can't play at Southern University, hits the portal, and now he's the 3rd quarterback to commit to UNLV. I have no idea what he's doing. He wants to be near Vegas. Everybody better check what this kid is doing on his FanDuel and DraftKings. This kid is not good. He'll never be good. He's not a college football player. I don't know what he's doing. Weird to me. Very awkward release. I looked at the tape and just was not impressed by anything he was doing. No. And it's the complete inverse. Like, I'm looking at Tyler Huff going, man, this guy's the truth. I turn on the tape on Dylan, and what is this? What am I looking at? Tape looks fine. Not good. Not good enough to play anywhere. I'll talk about the last guy, and then I'll go to chat. Luke McPhail leaving Syracuse, going to Utah Tech. Let me say something, guys. What a great move. This man is 6'4", 212. If you can't play at Syracuse, don't go transfer to one of these other FBS programs. Go down to FCS. I'm game. I respect it. I turned on the tape. Luke McPhail is 6'4", 212 and a mega baller. I bet Utah Tech's ecstatic. I bet Luke McPhail throws for 3,000 yards next year and rushes for 1,000. I don't know. Like, I don't even understand how bad Syracuse was. Remember, Syracuse quarterback room leaves so much to be desired. They had no quarterback the last 3 weeks of the season. They were absolutely terrible. And out of nowhere, they're starting tight ends at quarterback. They're not even letting this kid play. They never put Luke McPhail in. I turn on this high school tape. Something must be wrong, because this kid's better than a lot of the guys you got on your team. I think he's better than Carlos Del Rio Wilson. I think he's better than Davies. I think he's good. Tape looked great. Unless there's something I don't know. I don't understand it. I bet you Utah Tech gets the most out of Luke McPhail, and he's an FCS All-American. I bet this guy is great. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm telling you right now, we're going to pay attention to the entire season. We're going to come back to this video. Hold me accountable. Everybody who witnessed this, TikTok world, YouTube world, let's go. And remember, I will make an I Am Right video. But I'm telling you, Luke McPhail, to me, looks like a star. I bet Utah Tech's got to be ecstatic to get him. I don't understand how he never played it down at Syracuse. I'm going to talk about it on Twitter. That's how much I believe in it. All right, y'all. Now, we're going to take a break from the list because we do have to get to the enrolled players. But before we do, I'm going to go to chat, start taking your guys' questions. Get them in. I will get to you. Let's go. All right. Shout out to David in Arizona. If you guys see David in Arizona, his name is in green. That's because he's a member of the channel. I appreciate him for supporting the channel. If you have that badge and it's multiple colors, the way his is, he's been a MVP for at least 3 months, or he's been a member of the channel for at least 3 months. Shout out to you, David. I appreciate you. Let's see what he has to say. Hit that like button, by the way. If you guys are watching the show right now, we have 1 like. That's crazy. All you have to do is leave the show, hit the like button, then come back in. You can tap your screen if you're on your phone, hit like, and then come back in. If you're on TikTok and you want to ask me questions and you want to interact with me, go to YouTube. I answer questions on YouTube only, not TikTok. Hunter Darling says, let's ride. Shout out to Hunter Darling. I want to give him a huge shout out. Hunter Darling talks to me, I think every time he sees me, every day, and he says, what up, Top? And it's just one of those things you say to a first sergeant. I appreciate you, Hunter. Back to David, though. Good evening, Rico. Thank you for the great content. Who do you think will benefit the most out of the coming spring portal? Maybe Arizona. Maybe not. I don't think Arizona's gonna benefit from the spring portal. I want to say something about spring transfer portal. In the spring transfer portal, there's going to be some surprise entries. There's going to be some guys who lose quarterback battles. There's going to be some guys who find out they're second or third string and they think they're starters because of spring ball. It kind of, weeds itself out. There's also going to be a lot of redshirt freshmen who are being sent to the portal as recruiting misses. There are so many teams right now over the 85 cap. Every team can have 85 scholarship players. They have more than 85. They're going to send players to the portal. And when they do, those players will get signed. Now, some of them, majority of them, hopefully. How many of those players make your team better? Well, when you're one of the top 10 or 15 teams, or you're a favorite in your conference, you tend not to get better with those redshirt freshmen. They don't make your team better. They're not better than the players you have, so you don't get that many additions. I can tell you this. In the spring last year, in the spring portal, the 2 teams that far and away stuck out to me in the spring were West Virginia and Cal. And I want you to think of how much West Virginia and Cal were suffering 2 years ago to finally get those additions. I don't think Arizona's suffering. I think Arizona's on an upward trajectory. I think they look better, and they're more poised to do better. And when you're that good, you don't get a whole lot of transfers and a whole lot of additions that make your team better, at least not right now. So I feel like Arizona is just fine where they're at. I like their starting 11 on both sides of the ball. I think they're very good. So shout out to them. Texas State upsets ASU next year. Watch. Well, Dylan Smith. Is it really an upset? You don't even know what Vegas thinks of the matchup. It could only be an upset if the odds makers say it so. Texas State could be favorited in that game. You don't know. Thank you for sharing this, Rico. Shout out to you and Tyreek. Yeah, shout out to Tyreek Curley. Rest in peace to his father. I appreciate that young man reaching out to me. I apologize. I'm supposed to have the chat up, y'all. Give me a second here. I'm supposed to have the chat up so you guys can see it. There we go. And then I have to interact with it. Give me a second. And then I can scroll back up and see where we're at. There we go. Can you guys see this when I do that? Does it move for you guys? Yes, it does. Perfect. I apologize. I'm getting new to this. I'm a one-man show over here. So I hope you guys can read the chat better. Kim says, good evening, everyone. Can you please step out for a second and hit that like button? I'd appreciate it. Hit the like button and come back in. That's great. It helps us with our algorithm. Hunter Darling says, beautiful quoting Dustin Poirier Saturday when Joe Rogan said, Dustin, you're the man. Dustin said, I'm just a man, Joe. I'm just a man. He did. I'm cool with Dustin Poirier. I appreciate him for having his kids of his own. Shout out to Michael Chandler. Kevin Long says, that's the NIL money. He's a bad man. I think he's talking about me being a bad man in my UFC predictions. By the time I get to the chat, I don't know what they're talking about. Vibe says, what's up, Rico? Do you think DJ Smith Jr. is a good transfer from Mercer University? He was a quarterback at Greenville Christian School that knocked off Mississippi 6A champ Oak Grove. Shout out from the 662. So I've had a chance. Is DJ Smith Jr. the starter for Mercer? I don't know if he's the starter. I see very little Mercer football. I went and watched a bunch of tape on Ty James in the last month or so because I was doing wide receiver reviews for the NFL draft. So I came across Ty James then. I was also doing a review on another Mercer transfer. Who was it? Can't remember right now. And I was impressed with some of their players. But I apologize. I don't know DJ Smith individually. I don't watch all FCS football. I'm an FBS transfer portal expert. I'm an FBS football watcher. I don't have time to digest the other 128 teams in the FCS. So if I haven't seen them, that's on me. Is McLeod an upgrade at Texas State? Well, Zachary Bell, McLeod, I'm going to get to him once we get back to this chat on the transfer portal. He's the first guy I'm going to talk about on the enrolled side. But Jordan McLeod is obviously an upgrade from what they had after the departure of Finley and the departure of Malik, right? Hornsby. So what were they going to have? They needed somebody. Is McLeod that much better? I don't necessarily know. I know he did well at JMU. I know he's always been pretty decent touchdown and interception ratio. I hope he's good. I hope there's no drop-off. But I think Texas State might be hurting in other areas after the transfer portal. This spring transfer portal is going to open, and I don't see all the players staying at Texas State. If they do, man, it'll be great, but I highly doubt it. I look at them. I think Texas State knows they're losing certain players just by their signings. If you go look at Texas State signings, who they've been offering and who's joining the team, go look at the position groups and start counting how many players they have at each position group. I'll give you an example. If you're a team and you sign 4 offensive linemen, that should tell you that team knows they're losing 4 offensive linemen. They're losing offensive linemen to the transfer portal, graduation, academic attrition, whatever it is. So go study Texas State's transfer portal signings, and you'll see some crazy trends that make you really think. I'm going to give you an example. Texas State has a running back, Ishmael Mahdi, just rushed for 1,300 yards. And for whatever reason, Texas State has signed at least 3 running backs in the transfer portal. And they're starter caliber running backs. They got both starting running backs from UTEP. They got a troubled running back from Washington State. They are just signing a ton of players at positions that I feel they know players are going to depart. That's how I feel. So it doesn't really matter about the quarterback. Everything else is probably falling apart at this point. Just a heads up. You don't know, but your friends don't know, but Rico knows. You don't know, your friends don't know, but Rico knows. There it is. Shout out to you, Dub Will. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you as well, Zachary Bell. Zachary Bell's about as close to a day one male follower that I can have. Shout out to Lewis Henton as well. I've had followers for a long time. Most were female initially. When the guys showed up, I kind of remembered all their names. As we've gone on through the years, more and more people show up, but the original day ones are for real. The GOAT says, thoughts on Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State? So the GOAT, Jeremiah Smith is not a quarterback. I'm talking quarterbacks in this transfer portal video. We don't really get off topic. We stay on quarterbacks, but I'll tell you that anybody who's never played a down of college football doesn't really impress me. I don't care. I don't care what the recruiting websites say about you. Go earn your keep, get into too deep, and do your thing. I really don't give a shit. So that's how I feel about Jeremiah Smith. I don't. Swade says, do you think Jared Curtis should be number one in his class? I haven't checked all the quarterbacks in Jared Curtis's class. I've looked at Jared Curtis's tape twice. His personal quarterback coach wrote to me on Twitter and thought I should give him a break and think very highly of him. You know, Rico, all the tools are there. I coach quarterbacks. You don't. I know what I'm saying. I think he's the best quarterback in the country. And it's like, yeah, man, the family's paying you to train this kid. They're not paying me. I'm keeping it real. When I watched the tape, I wasn't impressed. I saw a young man who didn't compare to Aaron Philo when they were on the same field. Aaron Philo's a 3-star kid going to Georgia Tech, and granted, he's the greatest quarterback in Georgia high school history when statistically, and a 2-time state champ. But when I watched Jared Curtis on the same field with Aaron Philo this year, it was apples and oranges. One guy was real, and the other one was just all talk. The other one does really well in drills with his coach, I guess. I don't know. I personally am not impressed with Jared Curtis in the slightest. So do what you want with that. Juju Lewis was number one. He reclassified, so now Curtis is number one. All that doesn't really matter to me. I do not get caught up in recruiting rankings whatsoever. Go back and check where any of these NFL stars were ranked out of high school. Very few were number one in their recruiting class. It's pointless. I do not get excited about recruit rankings at all. I think they're all stupid. I think they're all wrong, and I don't care where Jared Curtis is ranked. Sespe says, have you talked about Reese Poffenbarger and his future at Miami despite them getting Cam Ward? Well, yes, I have, Sespe. I'll double check. I talked about Reese in episode 3 of the quarterback episode 3. If you want to go back and watch it, it's on YouTube. Just click the live tab, find episode 3. Talked about Reese in the episode, and the first thing I'll say is Reese Poffenbarger is only a sophomore. So it doesn't really matter. It's not his last year of eligibility. He's only a sophomore. He is 6 feet tall as well. I think he's grateful to be at a university like Miami. And even if you have to sit the bench as a sophomore, you can get something out of it. You can get developed by position coaches, get exposure to football at the highest level, and then start your final 2 years. I think any guy who's shorter than his sister should probably be grateful that he's somewhere, though. No, I think Reese probably should have went to Buffalo. I would have liked to see Reese Poffenbarger play at Buffalo. I think that's more realistic. I would have liked to see him in the MAC. I would have liked to see him at Rutgers and not Miami. Miami's not the caliber of team he should have been at, if I'm being real. Or at least, what do you think will happen with him going forward? Oh, I don't try to guess what's going to happen with players going forward. I assess results. I don't make a living guessing the transfer portal. I don't talk rumors. I don't do that kind of shit. I assess results. I talk about, that's why when you see me talking about the transfer portal, I talk about who's committed and who's enrolled. I do not talk about the people that are still in the portal. I do not talk about where I'm guessing these guys will do in their future. Like, that's just all pointless. Cam Ward can get injured in the first game and Reese plays the entire year, and your hypothetical question doesn't matter, right? So that's how I get down. Do you think DeQuan Finn fits good for Baylor? Not necessarily. I didn't think DeQuan Finn was all that good at Toledo. Baylor had Kyron Drones and didn't use him. They preferred Blake Shapen over him. So the way they utilize quarterbacks at Baylor doesn't really fit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me, I should say. I think Baylor's coaching staff is on the verge of getting fired. I think Dave Aranda and the whole crew is done. Now, I don't like the way they're recruiting in the transfer portal. I don't like the players they're signing. I don't like what they're getting out of their players. I think Baylor's on a downward trajectory. And you go and get DeQuan Finn, who was never really clutch at Toledo, and I'm not impressed by it. Like, people can talk about Toledo and winning and then go, yeah, DeQuan Finn's great. Look, the recruiting website said he's great. You guys got to stop that, man. Why do you know DeQuan Finn's name? The GOAT. You seem like a young person. You asked me about recruits like Jeremiah Smith. You seem like a young person. So my question to you is, why do you know DeQuan Finn's name? It's not from watching MAC football. I know it. Like, I watch MAC football. I watch DeQuan Finn every week. He's not great. He's not even good. The best player on that team was Boone. Like, Penny Boone. Like, the way Toledo's offense looked with DeQuan Finn was, we're not getting the ball to Newton enough. Jawan Newton, their star receiver. Like, there's just things about Toledo that doesn't impress me, and DeQuan Finn doesn't feel like that guy to me. Now, he might go to Baylor and play great. I don't believe that. Top to top, brother. There you go. Shout out to you, Kevin. I appreciate you. I'm in all the lives, and if I can't catch them, I watch after work. Love the analysis and work you do. Not a lot of people are straight shooters anymore. I like that you are. Thank you, Robert Hicks. We need more people watching after hours. I'm cool with it. Who's going to be the best team in the MAC this year? I really don't know. I haven't sat down and made that assessment. A lot of the way we assess who's the best team in the MAC is wins and losses in conference play versus overall record, right? So I'd have to go back and see what the conference matchups are. I like Western Michigan a lot. I like the direction they're going. I like, obviously, Miami of Ohio was doing great, and then they lost a lot of players in the transfer portal, a lot of key players. Ohio is always good, but they made some mistakes in the transfer portal. It doesn't look good. It's gonna be tough to make that prediction. Western Kentucky's moving to the MAC, but it's not this year. That's a tough one. I'd have to sit down and do some analysis before I come up with that answer, Lane Farrell. To be honest, right now my analysis is on the Power 4 conferences, which it never really is. I do spend the vast majority of the offseason learning the group of 5 better than anybody, better than Vegas, better than anyone. And that's kind of where we make all our money. Shout out to the MVPs. But right now I'm doing futures bets and win totals for Power 4 teams. And I've been studying the ACC like you wouldn't believe. It's insane. So I apologize if you've ever got to watch one of my videos. If you're an MVP and you watch my videos breaking down the ACC teams, I talk about almost every player on every team. So it's different. Right now I'm not prepared to do that with the MAC teams. I could do their starting lineups, but not everybody. And I'd need to study before I answer that question accurately. I apologize, Lane. Appreciate the question, though. I owe you. Zachary Bell says, Texas State loaded up at running back. Yes, they did. Gonna miss Marty. Hope he gets the bag. Yeah, me too. Okay, appreciate the analysis. Love the content. Just wondering if you think Reese is the caliber to succeed at Miami. I don't think so. If the opportunity does come. I don't think so, but you never know what you can do with your supporting cast. That's how that goes. Also, one more thought. Would you assess players who are already at a Division III through your payment or film review, or do you only do current high school players? We've covered this before, Cespi. I do evaluations of players in the NFL draft right now. So there are players in the NFL draft that have reached out to me for film reviews. There are Division I players, Division II, FBS. We do everyone. I just did a video on Jeremiah Cooper, who is first team All Big 12. He reached out to the channel. They got to the top of the waiting list, and he paid to get a review done. That dude's first team All Big 12. So, yes, I do it for anybody. It doesn't matter who. You just have to get on the list and be at the top of the list. Thank you for the questions. Keep them coming, guys. I'm going to get back to the chart so we can finish up the episode. I'm going to go talk about the other quarterbacks in the transfer portal and then finish up the show with more questions. If you got questions, put them in. Shout out to YouTube. Shout out to TikTok. All right, let's go. Gonna go look at who's enrolled now for quarterbacks. First one up is Jordan McLeod. I just want to double check everybody else I've talked about. If there's any name up here you've seen above, I've already covered them in a previous episode. We're now on Jordan McLeod. He finally signs with Texas State, leaving JMU. If you don't know Jordan McLeod's journey, It's pretty damn long. So first off, he's from Plant High School in Florida, Tampa. If you guys don't remember, Plant High School won a state title in the early 2000s. They had a quarterback. His name was Robert Marv. I hope you guys remember him. He stayed home and he went to Miami. Didn't pan out, didn't do too well, but he was like one of them hometown heroes staying home. Well, Jordan McLeod did stay home. He stayed and he went to South Florida. Went to South Florida 2018 to 2020, and he played so well in the COVID season that he parlayed that into a transfer to Arizona. But when he got to Arizona, my God, there was stiff competition at Arizona. And I can remember he had a season where he played pretty well, a touchdown to interception ratio at South Florida, right? I think it was like 9-2. 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. When he got to Arizona, it was terrible. 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, he looked bad. And he couldn't see the starting lineup, and he knew I had to get the hell out of here. So he jumps in the transfer portal again, and this time he heads over to JMU. Kurt Cignetti gets him. Shout out to Coach Kurt Cignetti. They get successful, and he plays out of his mind this year. Goes back to being who he was at South Florida, playing Group of 5 football. Jordan McLeod can dominate Group of 5 football. He's a good player. So Kurt Cignetti gets hired, goes to Indiana, and this is the first red flag for me. Why did you not take Jordan McLeod with you? Why didn't you take your Louis luggage? Why'd you go to Indiana and get Rourke instead? That kind of bugs me. Curtis Rourke going, what is that? Right? I apologize. I meant to pull up the chart. I didn't change the graphic, or you guys are just staring at chat. That's me, bro. Somebody got to talk to me, bro. So, looking at Jordan McLeod, why didn't your coach take you to Indiana? For me, that's a red flag, personally. But is Jordan McLeod any good? Yes, he's a very good quarterback. I think some schools were interested. I don't know why he didn't end up at Auburn. Auburn wasn't as interested in him as he was in them or something. I don't know. But now he's going to Texas State. It feels like a lateral transfer. It is. It's still the Sun Belt, bro. It's still the same conference. Remember that. He can be the Sun Belt Player of the Year back-to-back years. Shout out to Grayson McCall. Like, that's what he can do if he plays well at Texas State. It's pretty special stuff. Congrats to him for finding a school, getting a second opportunity. Just a little underwhelming because we thought he was going to go power whatever. Thought he was going to go power 4. Speaking of underwhelming, the next quarterback I'm going to talk about, I've talked about everybody else in a previous episode. The next quarterback, I got to find him for a second here. Sorry, my eye's itching. Is Jake Garcia. Jake Garcia leaving Missouri, going to ECU. Congratulations. What to say about Jake Garcia? I've talked about Jake Garcia in many videos on TikTok. Some of them have gotten hundreds of thousands of views. One of my most viewed videos is about Jake Garcia. And what I want to tell you guys is I don't think very highly of Jake Garcia's parents. I don't think very highly of their decision-making and their lack of ethics. And they might have thought they had an NFL caliber son, so they were doing some ridiculous shit to get this kid in the limelight. And as a parent, as an assessor of talent, as a social media sports journalist, I cannot let that shit slide. Like, I got to bring it up, bro. I got to bring it up. So these are two parents. Let me tell you this first. Jake Garcia never spent more than one season at one particular high school. He always transferred and transferred and transferred and transferred. That leaves you with this mercenary mindset, free agent mindset. It's never good in any walk of life. You meet somebody who's a chronic dater and can't commit themselves to somebody. You don't think very highly of them as a partner. You probably don't want it. You don't want to wifey that. You don't want to marry that, right? What about in football, though? If you're in a new locker room every year, where's the camaraderie? Where's the willingness to take a hit for one another or die for one another? Like, I'm in the Army for over 20 years. When I was in the Army, if we were going to deploy, our unit was together for 2 or 3 years before we deployed. Making sure we all know each other. Making sure we know everybody's ins and outs, strengths and weaknesses, our personalities. Are we going to crack under pressure? How do we handle adversity? We made sure we knew everybody. Now, there were a few late additions to the unit at the last second. They joined us. I can remember this one kid. He joined us. I'm a platoon sergeant. They call me in. They say, yo, Sergeant Rico, you got this new kid. He's going to join your platoon. I said, cool, man. We're flying out next week. Yeah, he just got done. He just went through this, just went to SRP, all this shit. I'm like, okay, well, who is this kid? They give him to me, cool. We get there. I'm going to tell you guys this true story. We get to Iraq, and we have these connexes where we locked up all of our goods, all of our personal goods. Like I'm going to give you an example. Like a Game Boy Advance, a PSP Vita, a PSP. I don't remember everything. Like, people had shit for entertainment that they had packed in the connexes, but they couldn't get to it because we kept the connexes locked in the motor pool. We weren't unloading them yet. And I had told my first sergeant, I said, yo, man, we're going to unload them in about 3 weeks. We got 3 weeks worth of work to do every day. We got inventories to do. We got handoffs to do. We got to get these people. We were falling in on a FOB, on a forward operating base. We were falling in on this FOB that the departing unit wanted to go home. Their deployment's over. And we're replacing them. Well, we can't replace you until we do this right seat, right handoff thing. We got to learn from each other. So we got to learn your patrols, learn your TTPs, techniques, tactics, and procedures, your SOPs, standard operating procedures. We got to learn everything from you. So we're doing this, and we're fully immersed. For 2 weeks, we're learning this shit. And that kid comes into the shop at, 11 p.m. at night, 2300. And we're supposed to be doing this right seat ride with the losing unit, the unit that's been deployed for a year. These are brothers we don't know. We don't know each other. We just met. We want to do a good handoff and let them go back to America and be safe. And this kid steals from one of them. He stole a PSP. He took the PSP and he put it in his assault pack and he hid it. And now these kids were getting ready to get off shift at midnight, and they're looking around for their PSP. Now they've had this shit out in the open all year. Nobody's stolen from them. They all know each other. No one's stolen from them. They all know each other. They have the same character, value, moral. They're all brothers. And we're strangers. I show up with 30 strangers and say, hey, we're here to take over for you. Teach us what you guys have been doing for the last year. And they're like, we got you, brother. Come on, battle. Da-da-da-da-da. And I get woken up in the middle of the night by these two specialists I've never seen in my life. And they say, your soldier was stealing from us. So I go over there. I ask the kid, what the fuck's going on? He says, I don't know. They're looking for their PSP. And they think I took it. And I said, okay. Let me see your assault pack. Check his backpack. Sure enough, there's their PSP. He was still in their PSP. And this is in the first 2 days, 3 days in country. He's stealing from our brothers. He's stealing from our own people. I just looked at this dude and I'm like, I don't fucking know you, bro. Not only will I not take a bullet for you, I don't know you like this. You got to go. You got to go. I told the first sergeant commander, I recommend this dude be sent back to the rear. Get his ass out of this country. We just caught him stealing in the first 2 weeks. You guys want to know the most craziest thing about the whole story? He had a PSP and that game that he stole. He had them. They were just in the Connex. He just couldn't get to them. He already owned that game. He already owned that PSP. Couldn't trust him, bro. We didn't know him like that. And every time I think of that story, I think about Jake Garcia. I think about somebody who goes and he's new to your locker room and you don't know him like that. Because he keeps transferring from school to school to school, shows up every spring and every summer. Like, hey, I'm new here. I'm your quarterback. We're not brothers. I don't know you. I don't want to die for you. I can remember he went to Valdosta. And he goes to Valdosta here in Georgia, and everybody starts talking about Jake Garcia's at Valdosta. Jake Garcia, California quarterback, came to Valdosta. Why? Well, he couldn't play quarterback in California because they were canceling the season due to COVID. You know, you would move too if you wanted to play your final high school season, and they were canceling the season, all this shit. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. His parents pretended to be separated so he could get eligibility in Georgia. But they did an interview on TV, admitted to it, and the damn board, the approving authority in Georgia was like, oh no, this kid just moved to Georgia, he's not eligible to play. No, No, he's ineligible. He's just moved his house. He just moved. They're not divorced. They're not getting separated. These parents, after their son's deemed ineligible, go to court and officially get separated. Get the paperwork document. Guys, they're still married till this day. They were never going to get separated. They did that so their son can get approved, and then he transferred to Grayson High School. His senior year, he did 2 transfers. He went to Valdosta. You're not eligible. Then he transfers to Grayson. Shows up. Phil Moffa's already the star running back. Shout out to Clemson. And they beat Travis Hunter and Sam Horn in the state championship. I watched the game. I was there. I was disgusted with this kid. The things they'll do to try to get this guy at the most prestigious school possible. And then he's committed to USC this whole time. And then on the signing day, he flips to Miami. Miami already had Ja'Cory Brown. Ja'Cory Brown out of Lowndes. Superstar. Still at Miami right now. People keep bringing in transfer portal quarterbacks over Ja'Cory Brown. I think that's a good player, man. One day he's going to start in college. He's that good. One day he's just too loyal. Loyal to who? I don't know what. But Jake Garcia goes to Miami, can't play football at Miami. Eventually got to play. He looked okay. Let me say that. He looked okay. Who did he play against? It was somebody bad. It was a FCS school. And he played okay, but I don't like Jake Garcia. I don't like his decision-making. I don't like his family's ethics and morals. I don't like anything they're doing about this kid. And then he finally realized last year, you transferred to Missouri because you thought you were better than Brady Cook, and you found out real quick, no, I am not. So now you're in the portal, and where do you end up? ECU. Sounds about right. This whole time, all this big shot, hot shot, move in, getting all these different oh, dude, you know how good you are? You're an ECU quarterback. Go play there. Go be the starter. Be better. They're terrible. They've had bad quarterback play. Some of the worst you'll see in America. But I'm not a fan of Jake Garcia. Not in the slightest. I'm letting you know. And I feel like he played against Duke. I don't know if you guys remember that. He threw 3 interceptions against Duke. I feel like that was his ceiling. That's what we saw. This kid threw 3 interceptions against Duke. They lost, or they won. They won in triple overtime in a game, or 4 overtimes in the next game. I don't remember who. I think that might have been against Duke. But it was embarrassing. It was like he went 15 for 31, 120 yards. It was something bad. Literally 4 yards an attempt. That dude's not real, man. Jake Garcia, good luck. Jerry Bohannon, next guy. Jerry Bohannon. By all accounts, Jerry Bohannon is a good quarterback and a good leader in the locker room. He was a good leader. The problem is he's limited talent-wise. This is a young man who initially went to Baylor. He was at Baylor, and he eventually became the starter. Initially, he was on the bench. Charlie Brewer was better than him. He was on the bench, and, his coaching staff, the offensive coordinators, the quarterbacks coach, all those dudes are at Syracuse right now. And none of them reached out to Jerry Bohannon and said, let's get him to Syracuse. But he was behind Jacob Zeno, who actually started for UAB last year. He was behind Jacob Zeno at one point. And then eventually became the starter, though. And then his final year starting at Baylor, his only year starting at Baylor, Blake Shapen was really pushing him. Blake Shapen threw 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He really looked good. And they're like, man, we're going to go with Blake Shapen. So he jumps in the portal, goes to South Florida. South Florida wins 1 game his first year. He didn't play at all last year. Jerry Bohannon did not play last year. 2 years ago, though, he was pretty good at South Florida, voted a team captain, kind of taking over and leading. So I think Jerry Bohannon has a chance to start at BYU, which is crazy. Because I'm not used to seeing a Jerry Bohannon, a black quarterback at BYU. I'm just not used to seeing it. I'm just keeping it real. I'm not. And trust, I study a lot of football. Jerry Bohannon does not look like a BYU quarterback. I'm just keeping it real. So I hope he does well. I hope he gets a chance. Obviously, South Florida wasn't going to use him anymore. Byron Brown is him and became a leader on that team. There was nothing going back. This eye is killing me. I'm so sorry, guys. I keep itching it. Next quarterback is Dylan Morris. What a team player Dylan Morris is. Dylan Morris used to be the starting quarterback at Washington. He was actually honorable mention in the Pac-12 back in like 2020, 2021, I think. 2021, he was honorable mention Pac-12. Yeah, go look it up. Dylan Morris, good quarterback. And then he just stayed on the team. They go hire DeBoer, comes in. He brings Michael Penix Jr. with him, right? Well, the offense coordinator brings in Michael Penix Jr. Grubbs does. They're doing all their shit. And this kid just stays. He's like, all right, I'll be the backup. I'll be the backup. I'm going to graduate. I'm chilling. He finally transfers to JMU. He will be the starting quarterback at JMU. And he's good. Shout out to Dylan Morris. I like the kid. I like him a lot. He's very mature. Only 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, but he was once a very good quarterback. Hope he gets his shot to be good. Chubba Purdy, you guys know Brock Purdy's little brother. Dual threat quarterback, leaving Nebraska, formerly of Florida State. Was going to go to San Jose State. Then they had a change in at coach. Now he's going to Nebraska or to Nevada. Let me just say this about Chubba Purdy. He better beat out Brandon Lewis. Brandon Lewis is one of the worst starting quarterbacks in America at the FBS level. Former Colorado quarterback, started 3 years. Go look at those stats on Brandon Lewis. Go watch the film. It's worse. Go look at the film. It's bad. The stats are worse. Okay, so Chubba Purdy better win this job at Nevada. And handedly. He's 6'3", 225. He's a dual threat kid. I think he brings way more to the table than anything what's his face is doing. Brandon Lewis, for sure. So let's do that. Next quarterback. Grayson James. Grayson James, shout out to Duncanville. Guys, Duncanville. I'm sorry, let me check my chart real quick. Let me see something. Give me a second. Before I go off on this rant. I'm going to go off on this rant. All right, sorry about that. Grayson James, Duncanville. Comes out of high school. All right, you're pretty good. Where do you want to go? Let's be realistic. Let's go to FIU. Shit, yeah, let's go. Go to FIU. You're the starting quarterback 2022. You look okay. This past year, their season opener was against La Tech. I told the MVPs, let's take La Tech to win the game and cover the spread. This was very early in the season, first game. So game happens. FIU's winning the game. They got a kid named Mitchell. Mitchell's now transferred to Notre Dame. So they got Mitchell, and Mitchell's doing well. No. No. You go back and watch that game with Grayson James. Grayson James finishes the game. I don't remember his completions and his attempts. I don't remember that. I do remember his yards because he finished the game with 4 yards. They were winning at halftime. They lose the game. He finished with 4 passing yards. He never started another game unless it was due to injury late in the season. Keontae Jenkins comes off the bench. This is a redshirt freshman. Keontae Jenkins is not good. Holds the ball way too long. We bet on Keontae Jenkins under yards all season long and kept winning and kept winning and kept winning. This man was terrible. I'm telling you, Grayson James is a bad quarterback because he was behind Keontae Jenkins. So you're jumping in the portal and you're going to Boston College. I don't know what that's about. I don't know. Unless you want another quarterback that can't throw. Thomas Castellanos can actually run, though. Grayson James, not a great runner. Not that I saw. I think Grayson James is terrible. I think this transfer is worse. I don't understand it. Congratulations, but I don't get down with this move at all. Next one is Joe Labus. Joe Labus. He's from Ohio. Going to CMU. I think he belongs in Central Michigan. I think he's a MAC kid. Coming out of high school, all his offers were MAC caliber, and then he just dropped them all and went to Iowa. And you guys have seen Iowa quarterback play. It's been terrible. Now, Central Michigan did just lose. If you don't know, they lost a really good quarterback in Jace up here, Jace Bauer. I say a really good quarterback. I like Jace Bauer. He's fun to watch. Jace Bauer is a good quarterback. He's going to Sam Houston. He'll start. Jace Bauer is just that tough dude, man. Tough dude. Joe Labus is not the same. Not even a little bit. I don't understand the transfer. But they obviously Central Michigan needs players. So get a Joe Labus. He's 6'4", 215. I think he's not better than Deacon Hill. I want you to think about that. Iowa starting quarterback goes down with an injury. They're like, who are we going to put in? Deacon Hill. Have you ever seen Deacon Hill? Has anybody seen Deacon Hill? The dude's 20 years old and he's overweight, bro. When you're 20, you should have a six-pack and be the best shape of your life. Deacon Hill is overweight. At 20, it's embarrassing. I don't know what his deal is. He's over the hill. He looks like Bobby Hill. And Joe Labus is worse than him. I don't know what's going on. He does look like a solid runner, but they wouldn't play him. They would rather play Deacon Hill. And you go see those stat lines. Clifton McDowell, I'm going to get to the chat after I get done with this. I got about 10 more guys to go. So Clifton McDowell from Montana going to Temple. I think this is great. You see it here, though. Evan Simon's also going to Temple. And don't worry about that. I don't think Evan Simon can play football. I think Evan Simon, shout out to him, but he couldn't play at Rutgers, and Rutgers had bad quarterback play. You couldn't beat out Gavin Wimsatt. You're not beating out Clifton McDowell. Clifton McDowell is a good football player. This is a guy, I believe, coming out of high school, he went to Louisiana, the Raging Cajun. Something went wrong. I think it was academics, and he ended up, and he found himself at Tyler Junior College in Texas. So you go to Tyler. Is it Tyler? It has to be. Kilgore. Shit. I apologize. I didn't mean to curse. I think he went to Kilgore. So you go to Kilgore after Louisiana. You play well. You're like, all right, let me go get an offer. So where do you go? Central Arkansas. All right. Play good at Central Arkansas. Hit the transfer portal again. This time, no FBS teams are interested in you. But Montana hits you up and says, show up. The thing about Clifton McDowell is he's 6'4", 225. He's enormous. And he's a dual threat kid. He can run and do that thing. Go watch his tape out of Spring, Texas. Go watch the high school tape. It's fucking beautiful. Such a long journey. You go to Montana. Montana gets another transfer. His name is Sam Vidlak. And I remember Sam Vidlak well. Sam Vidlak went to Oregon State out of high school. Found out he couldn't play there. Some good quarterbacks at Oregon State. I can't play here. And he transfers to Boise. Gets to Boise, says, oh my God, I can't play here either. They got this kid, Taylon Green, better than me. I got to leave. So he then goes to the FCS, and Sam Vidlak gets there. He thinks, I'm going to start at Montana. No, you're not. Clifton McDowell just showed up. Clifton McDowell leads Montana to the national championship runner-up. Great job, Clifton. I thought Clifton played amazing all season. Straight stud. And what's crazy is, shout out to Clifton McDowell. When it was time to pick the right school, obviously they're losing E.J. Warner. They're losing Kurt Warner's son. Temple is. But Clifton went to Western Kentucky on a visit. And he didn't go to Western Kentucky. And he had the first choice. I think if he goes to Western Kentucky, T.J. Finley does not go to Western Kentucky. That's how good Clifton McDowell is. But now he's going to Temple. I don't see Temple winning a whole lot of games. Temple looks bad. They just lost their star linebacker to the NFL draft. They've lost some players to the transfer portal. Temple does not look good. If there's a team that can benefit from the transfer portal this spring, it could be Temple getting a bunch of redshirt freshmen that nobody else wants. Temple could get a bunch of players nobody wants. I'm just saying. Because you can go to Temple and get some playing time. I think Clifton McDowell is him. Congratulations. Go do your thing. Cameron Brown, straight out of Georgia. This is a kid I watched play in high school. I was not prepared to see this move. This is Texas Tech doing it again. They're getting a kid from West Georgia. But Texas Tech has intentionally been recruiting the FCS ranks or lower. Canada, Division III, Division II. Like Texas Tech, go look at their signings. They've been getting a bunch of players that nobody knows who the hell they are. Just random dudes. And I don't know if they're just trying to fill out their roster as cheap as possible and save money because they spent it all in recruiting because they got a 5-star wide receiver. Like, I don't know what Texas Tech is doing, but it's noticeable. The players they're getting are not very good. Now, Cameron Brown will not be starting quarterback. He'll be a backup. I don't think he's ever going to play. I don't think he's ever going to play at Texas Tech. They just got a good kid out of high school. They got a good team. Like, is he the backup this year? Okay. But I don't think he'll ever start a game. Unless there's immense amount of injuries. He doesn't look Texas Tech caliber. I like the kid. Shout out to Warner Robbins. I think he went to Northside, but he went to Northside. Good kid. Following his dream. And you know what? He went with his teammate. There's another kid from West Georgia. No, there's not. Is there another kid from West Georgia on the team? No, I was thinking another team. I'm thinking Arkansas State. Arkansas Pine Bluff. No. He just showed up by himself. But like I said, they're signing nobodies. This was the offensive player of the year, rookie, freshman of the year in his conference, but I'm not impressed by this move at all. Charles Wright, leaving Texas, going to our App State. He's not going to start at App State. They got Joey Aguilar, but congratulations. You finally got the hell out of Texas. Charles Wright's high school tape is nice, man. I like it a lot. He's a 3-star kid coming out of high school. He did what all the 3-star kids do, which is did a preferred walk-on to Texas. If you're a 3-star kid, stop prefer walking on to any major university. You are 3 stars. Go get a scholarship. So he's a rich kid from Austin, decides I'm going to go to Texas and preferred walk on to Texas. You ain't hear his name once. Charles Wright was not in the quarterback battle. I don't want to hear it. Arch Manning passed him the minute he showed up on campus. Waste of a couple years in your eligibility, and here you are. Good job being at Texas for 3 years and never being considered for playing time. Yes, he eventually earned a scholarship. Congratulations. Never played this past year. Now you're going to App State. You're going to find out real quick. App State's got a starting quarterback named Joey Aguilar. Better than you. Period. Clay Millen, this is a rich kid. Not impressed by anything Clay Millen's ever done. Shout out to his father, Hugh Millen, former NFL quarterback, played 8 seasons or for 8 different teams in the NFL in the late 80s, early 90s. I remember him well. Used to have his football card. His father, Hugh Millen, Clay Millen, he's got a brother. Forgot his brother's name. But Clay Millen was the starting quarterback. He actually went to Nevada initially, followed Jay Norvell to Colorado State, transferred there, shows up. He was the starting quarterback all last year. This year he gets injured. They put in a kid named BFN, Braden Fowler Nicolosi. Shout out to him and his father. They reach out to me on Twitter all the time. Actually, wrote out to me today. And they've invited me to go to the Colorado game. If you guys didn't know, they have invited to sponsor me and pay my way to go to the Colorado State game this year. They've asked me to, and I said I got a +1. He said, no problem. You're more than welcome to bring your +1. So Kim and I might be going to the game. We'll see. But they offered me tickets to the game to go see Colorado State because I believe in Braden Fowler Nicolosi. The minute that young man, as a redshirt freshman, got the starting job, he never looked back. And Clay Millen ends up on the outside looking in. But what do you do when you're at a group of 5 school and you lose your starting job and the whole world's watching? How do you handle that as a quarterback? Well, you're embarrassed. You probably want to tell all your friends, I got something bigger planned. So you jump in the transfer portal and you go to Florida. You couldn't start at Colorado State, but you go to Florida. It's a way of telling everybody, oh, look, I had a bigger opportunity. I had a better opportunity. That's why I'm leaving. No, man, you don't have a better opportunity. I think it's dumb. You're never going to start at Florida. They got recruits better than you. They got players better than you. What are you doing? But he's wasting his career doing this, trying to show out in front of friends and be like, yeah, I'm going to Florida. Oh, man. You know, I love it when I see these kids. They prefer walk on to a school, and then they tell all their friends, oh, where are you going to play? I play ball at Tennessee. Oh, I play ball at Alabama. It's like, what? Your preferred walk on. What? You just transferred to Florida? Are you kidding me, bro? That's wild. Transferring to Florida after losing your job at Colorado State, you're going the wrong way. It's not the way it's done. Shout out to Ben Finley. Ben Finley figured it out. Ben Finley right here just left Cal going to Akron. Going to Akron. Ben Finley said enough's enough. I couldn't start at NC State. I'm Ryan Finley's little brother. I transferred to Cal. Cal gave me 2 games to figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. They wanted to play Sam Jackson, and they figured out, hey, we're going to go with Fernando Mendoza. And they're never going to play you again, Ben Finley. So Ben Finley jumps in the portal. And instead of trying to go to all, he just said, fuck it, bro. I'm out of here. I thought he was going to go to NAU. I thought he was going to go to Northern Arizona. He's from Arizona. I thought he was going to Arizona. He's from Phoenix. Ben Finley said, I'm going to Akron. And Akron's got 2 quarterbacks, DJ Irons and Undercuffler. I think they're both gone. We call him Underfuckler because he will F you over. Shout out to the transfer, or shout out to the MVPs. But yeah, that's a good move for Ben Finley. I hope he can play there. If he can't, he needs to go to the FCS. He's not built for FBS level football. Next quarterback, Reese Mooney. I like Mooney. Reese Mooney's a cool kid. I like him. I hope he can play at North Texas. I hope he understands what he's biting off. He only spent 1 season at Liberty. He never got to play. This is a kid. He's a baseball player. He's also a football player, obviously. But he had offers from Jacksonville State, from Florida, Minnesota, Arkansas State. You think about all those schools I just named. He picks North Texas. North Texas does have a quarterback, though. Chandler Morris is good. He just transferred in from TCU. He'll probably be the starter as long as he's healthy. Eric Morris is the reason this transfer makes sense. Eric Morris is the former offensive coordinator, head coach. Where did Eric Morris head coach first? Head coach at UIW. Cam Ward and the boys. Yeah. He was at UIW before G.J. Kinney. Then he went up to Washington State, was the offensive coordinator for Cam Ward. Helped Washington State win 7 games. Then he took the head coaching job at North Texas last year, and their offense took off. Him and Chandler Rogers dominated, scored a ton of points. So now you could lose your quarterback to the transfer portal. You got to find another one. You did. You got Chandler Morris, and now you found a young kid with 4 years of eligibility left, Reese Mooney, and let's see what happens. So pretty good stuff. Good luck to the kid. Shout out to him. Ryan Berger. Ryan Berger or Berger? How do you want to say it? I want to say Berger because that's how it's spelled. I want a burger. That's how it's spelled. Leaving App State, going to Liberty. Couldn't play at App State. I think he got injured first game of the season and was done for the year. He got a hand injury right away. So he still has 4 years of eligibility left. I think Liberty will get more transfers before they ever let this kid play, but he is 6'4", 205. He's just taking the spot of Mooney on the roster. Good luck. Congratulations. Here's Zion Turner. This is the only threat. Right? The only threat to the starting position at Jacksonville State. If you guys don't know, Zion Turner is a very accomplished high school player. Zion Turner he played at St. Thomas Aquinas, but he won 3 state titles in a row. They still didn't believe in him. He only had 3 offers coming out of high school. One of them was Jacksonville State. One was UConn, and the other was, it escapes me right now. But he decided, I'm going to go to UConn. He goes to UConn, and he starts playing. But he's no Tyler Huff, man. I just don't think he is. He's very fun to watch. He's very exciting. I just don't think he's Tyler Huff. Tyler Huff's the Furman quarterback, that is transferring in. I believe in Tyler Huff. I think Zion's younger. He's got 3 years of eligibility left. I think Zion's going to sit the bench this year, and then he'll be the starter. Zion is good. If you guys know anything about Jacksonville State's offense, it's a dual-threat quarterback offense, friendly thing. It's the old Western Virginia offense. Think Pat White. Think, everything that Rich Rodriguez likes to do. They're doing it at Jacksonville State. The problem is I think Huff can do that already, and I don't think Zion Turner's that good of a passer. I really don't, but he's a good player, man. He's nifty. He's crafty. Watch him play. He's not bad. Ryan Janikowski, what a wasted career. This kid has 1 attempt in his whole career. Still not grasping what the fuck's going on. He was at Akron 3rd string, and he still doesn't get it. You can't play at the FBS level. He's transferred from Akron to UMass. You will not play at UMass. Ryan Janikowski should have died in the portal. Okay? No one should have gave him an offer. It should have been Division II. This guy's a Division II quarterback. But he's from Florida. Can't take no for an answer and keeps doing this shit. I'll never understand it. Gunnar Gundy, this is not true. He's not going to Ohio. I think he's going to Division II school. That's a whole other conversation. I have a DM source. I only got 3 guys left, so let me help you out here. Davis Beville, Davis B. Coming out of Oklahoma, going to South Carolina. This is weird. There's so many players going to South Carolina that are from Pitt. It's out of this world. So if you don't know, Davis started his college career at Pitt, then transferred to Oklahoma, then went. And I saw him at Pitt. He played in a bowl game. Somebody got hurt. He played in the bowl game. He actually played all right. So I went back and watched it, and I'm like, yeah, man, this guy's cool. He's big. He's 6'6", bro. He's big, and he can play football. I like the kid. Now, he's going back to South Carolina. He will not be the starting quarterback. Not even a little bit. South Carolina is not having quarterback tryouts. They got a baller and a half. And anybody who doesn't know better find the hell out real quick. I'm all in on South Carolina with their future. Not their current, but their future. We'll see what happens. We could talk about it after the show. Sharon, I love his tape, man. Love his tape, but he just can't get it straight. I love it. He's got 2 years of eligibility left, leaving Kentucky, and he won't leave the state of Tennessee or the state of Kentucky. Like, he just won't leave that area. He's going to UT Martin. No business going to UT Martin. He won't start at UT Martin. I don't think he's going to start each one. I think he's a good player, but he's transferring to a team. They have the kid, Kincaid, some shit like that. Kincaid Dean, the kid from Ole Miss. Kincaid Dent, some shit like that. He was a starting quarterback this year. He's coming back. I think Dent's better than Sharon. But Sharon looks so good on tape. Go watch his high school tape. It's fun. I watched it all day today, and I thought, man, that kid's really good. So I believe in him, but I think he made a poor decision. Shout out to UT Martin. You get two good quarterbacks. You don't pass it up. Kincaid Dent. I'm saying it wrong. Kinkaead. How do you say that? Kincaid? Yeah. And then the last guy, Jalen Macon. He's leaving Arkansas Pine Bluff. He's the kid. He's coming with a teammate of his. Going to Northern Illinois. I don't know, man. He didn't play great. He didn't play terrible. I watched the tape. He threw for about 600 yards and had a 66% completion percentage. I watched the tape. It was against really inferior opponents, but he didn't look bad. I don't know who Northern Illinois is going to start. They've been starting fucking Lombardi forever, right? They've been starting that Lombardi kid forever from Michigan State. So we'll see what happens now. But those are all the quarterbacks in the transfer portal for this episode. There are more to cover. No more enrolled at this point, but there are a ton more that have been committed. I probably have enough quarterbacks for one more episode, if I'm being honest. So we'll do a fifth episode after I do all the other position groups. We got to go all the way around, just so if you guys weren't aware of how this works. So by the time I get back to it, there'll be other people to talk about for like a whole month. It might take me about a month to get back to quarterbacks, just so we're clear. Let's see. Let's go to the chat. Let me go to the next episode. We'll go to the chat and then we'll finish up the show. Let's see where we're at. We already wrote all the questions. Top to top, brother. Texas State loaded up. Not a lot of questions. Not a lot of comments since I last read it. Appreciate it, man. Robert Hicks says, hey, Rico, do you think about officers in the military? I'm currently in my last semester of college and thinking about joining either the Air Force or Army potentially as an officer. So Robert Hicks, what I would say to you is if you're going to join as an officer, understand a couple things. It either becomes a way of life for you or it becomes a very temporary thing. That's number one. Don't go to the military if you're not committed to your craft and what you're about to do, because it's not just going to be a job. It's going to be a very big cultural shift for you, especially as an officer. Officers do not have much downtime. They work 24/7. They're grinding, and they're learning how to lead soldiers. So it's a very short-lived career for officers unless you become a general and you continue to progress, a colonel, things of that nature. Most young people who are joining saying, I'm coming out of high school, I just got commissioned, that kind of deal, they don't last all that long in my assessment. People who are legacies or their parents served, they tend to last longer as officers because they understand the expectations and they don't want to let their parents down. So if you're just doing it to pay back student loans and you're just doing it after the fact, that's fine. Just brace yourself for impact and expectation management. It's going to be a difficult way of life for you. You're probably not going to agree with everything you're doing. It is very difficult, and it is not conducive for people who like to ask the question, why? Right? If we need to do this, do not ask the question why. Just execute to the best of your ability, be great, and you'll be fine. That's what I would say to you. Being in the Army is a different entity, and being successful as an officer is really about operating within the parameters of mission command or operating within the parameters of what your boss tells you to do, right? They give you your left and right limits, and you got to operate within that. I would tell you that if you become an expert at COA development, you'll be really good, which is course of action development. In other words, if we have a problem, you need to come up with 3 solutions, 4 solutions, and learn how to pitch them in a coherent and concise manner and get the commander to then make decisions upon it. If you can do stuff like that really well, you'll succeed at the highest level. But it's really critical thinking. It's not let's go out and chew bullets and act tough. It's very intellectually driven thing. So there you go. Addie Sure says, you built like Deacon, Rico. No, I'm not. I'm built like, who am I built like? Sweetie. Yeah. Who's an NFL player that's 6 feet tall and just chiseled? Any ideas? I'm built like a linebacker. Yeah. I'm not built like a out-of-shape quarterback. I'm a monster. Do you do your own top 10 most impactful quarterback transfer list? I definitely do, Vibes. I definitely do top everything on the quarterback. I'll be doing a top 50 list for all players total, and there'll be quarterbacks on that list. Remember, I do impact based upon who are starters, how much I think they're going to impact the win-loss total, things like that. So impact's a lot different from talent. I don't really assess their talent so much as their impact, and the impact's going to be different. Like, I think right now there are certain players that are going to have so much impact they might make their team bowl eligible versus them not being bowl eligible thanks to certain transfers. So that's kind of how I look at it. Those lists will be coming out sometime after the spring transfer portal and before August, so maybe June, July timeframe. Right, we're in March right now. I'm focusing on basketball right now, and then I'll be focused on the NFL draft after it concludes. That's kind of my next way of going. I am going to take a week-long vacation here soon. I'm going to take a vacation. Kim and I are going to step away from it all. You guys don't know this. Now you do. We will be taking a vacation in between UFC fight cards. So every single weekend there's a UFC fight card. One of these weekends there isn't. It's coming up, and then we will be able to relax for a little bit and find a location that we want to go, and then we'll be back in touch with you guys. Appreciate everything you guys say and do. Jabron Fuller, good evening, Rico. Thank you, man. Shout out to you. You see that Jabron's name is in green. He is a supporter of the channel. Shout out to him. I appreciate that, man. He's a member of the channel. Any of you guys are members, you will get shout outs. You will get your comments read in a priority manner. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you guys learned a lot about quarterbacks in the transfer portal. I hope you learned about the 25 or 29 guys I covered tonight. And remember, your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.
Father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you. I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression's setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist, and it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it I flip